Amani ni furaha. Amani ni wakazi kwa watoto.
Amani ni upendo na ukombozi wa maisha.
Amani ni kituo ambacho husaidia watoto wa mtaani, watoto ambao wamekosa sehemu ya kulala na kula, wanawasaidia na kuwapa malezi mema na wanawarudisha shuleni ili baadaye waje kutimiza ndoto zao.
Amani ni sehemu ya watoto kucheza na kupata furaha.
Amani tunalala sehemu salama.
Amani ni hali ya kuwa na utulivu bila vurugu wala fujo.
Amani ni sehemu ambayo tunaishi kwa upendo.
Amani ni sehemu ambayo tunashauriwa tusome kwa bidii.
Amani ni upendo mtu unaweza kuonesha rafiki yako au mzazi wako au wewe mwenyewe. Amani kuna kusoma na kula vizuri na kucheza.
My name is Janet. Welcome to this edition of the Amani Supporters Call. My name is Janet, and I work with Amani as a communications manager. I will be your host for the evening. And I would like to let you know that we want to keep this meeting as interactive as possible. So we'll have a few videos, a few photos showing here and there. And we're going to try and keep this as lively as possible and as engaging and interactive. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box, and please add a question mark, because mind at picking up your questions in the chat box. So please add a question mark to your questions in the chat box and we'll pick them up and we'll have a session later. So today's call is strictly about Amani's work with girls, what we have done so far, what is on ground, our success stories, the numbers, what we have done so far, what we plan to do. And then we're also in the middle of a campaign right now. I know most of you have received these emails. It's called the Girls on the Rise campaign. So it's focusing on helping more girls. Amani has been doing a lot with boys and girls, but not as many girls as we should have. And now we feel the need to increase our support towards girls. So we decided to run a campaign to raise 25,000 by the end of June. And if you're feeling generous, today is the day to open your wallet. We'll appreciate that. So we're trying to raise as much as possible. Our goal was to raise 25,000 by the end of June. And we're 5 days to the end of the month. And we're not doing so well, but this call is to tell you more about our campaign and our work with girls, our plans, and what we have done so far. We'll share with you a few stories, a few touching stories. As some of you have been to Amani, so you'll know the girls, you'll see the videos and know them. They remember you and you remember them. So it will mean something to you if you've been to Amani. If you haven't, you're very welcome. We'll also have a Q&A session towards the end of the meeting. So stay tuned, but you can keep dropping your questions during the meeting in the chat box. So we'll start off with an introduction from my executive director, Minded Sharp. You all know who he is. You have all met him. At least most of you on the call have met Minded. He will tell us more about Amani and the work that we do.
Before we do that, though, let me quickly share a screen, because Janet promised you we will make this call as interactive as possible. So if you can just put into the chat, you see on top here, I hope you're seeing my screen by now, which town, city, and country are you calling in from? So if you can type into the chat just the town, city, country that you're in, then we'll just see this on the map to have an idea where people are calling in from. So karibuni, as we say in Swahili. I see Jessica coming in from London. Let's see whether it comes onto the map. Yes, that's the UK going strong there. Toronto coming in, Chicago coming in, Tanzania, several places in Tanzania. Okay, New York, of course, Moshi. Anyone else? Okay, it looks like we're almost all from the US East Coast, Toronto, the UK, and Tanzania. Anyway, all very welcome to today's session. I'm just trying to stop my screen share. And as Janet said, today's call is all about girls. Being the executive director, I was asked to explain a little bit more, again, to people how Amani is working with girls. And I would like to say probably two different things. One is how about 12 years ago, we almost ditched all the work with girls. And then two is how in the past couple of years, we've actually boosted our work with girls tremendously. And I think most of you know, Amani, for most of its history, we've been working with street children. And if you talk street children, then the reality is that most of them are boys. Because girls don't run away that easily from home. They're often kept at home, taking care of the siblings, taking care of the food, of the laundry, of the whatever. And even those few girls who may end up on the street, they're quickly lured away into domestic work by some middlemen who find them, and sometimes even into commercial sex work. So when I joined Amani about 12 and a half years ago, we had only maybe 1 or 2 girls living at the Amani Children's Home, together with 70 plus boys. And there was an ongoing discussion whether maybe Amani should just stop working with girls. Yeah, we didn't find many girls on the street. And even if we found girls, then we weren't that good at rescuing them. So at that point, there was serious discussion going on that maybe let's just stop it and focus on boys. I'm happy to say, as many of you know, that we ultimately chose not to and tried to do the opposite. So we decided, okay, it may be difficult to reach those girls. It may be difficult to find them. It may be difficult to rescue them, but let's boost it. Let's hire dedicated female street outreach workers so that we can increase the number of girls on the street that we reach. And that's what we did. So we went from just a handful of girls maybe per year that we reached to dozens of girls on the streets that we would reach every year. The second thing, and that's more recent, is that about 4 years ago, Amani boosted our work with girls because we opened a dedicated safe house in Arusha. A safe house that Naomi, my colleague in Arusha, will share more about. But that's specifically meant as a first ever safe house for children rescued from severe abuse in Tanzania, because we realized there is this immense need. Yes, there are girls on the street, but they are few. And like I said, many of them end up in domestic work or in commercial sex work. You won't find them on the street that easily. But there are so many girls who are facing severe abuse, and we realized that that line of work wouldn't be that different from working with street children, because we're good at rescuing these kids, we're good at healing them, we're good at normalizing their lives and then reintegrating them into normal society. So why not apply those strengths also to children rescued from severe abuse, mostly girls? And that's what we did. We opened this safe house. Unfortunately, it serves a tremendous need because unfortunately, there are very few places that girls who come from extremely abusive situations can go to. But I am so happy that we now have this place and that these girls don't have to live in all these abusive situations that Naomi will share more about. And that they don't have to, after their rescue, sleep on the floor of a police station because there is no place to host them. At least now they've got a safe place where they can stay, where we can try and heal them from their traumas, and where we can start building their futures again. So yes, talking about girls, I think it is those two big developments. One, that 12 years ago we decided, let's boost the way we do street outreach to girls, which increased the number of girls that we worked with, but then especially also since the last 4 years, this safe house in Arusha. And with that, we went from working with only a dozen or so girls in 2010-11 to now having more than 170 girls in our active Amani caseload. And every year we rescue approximately 130 girls, both from the streets and from abuse every year. Like a girl like Maria, an 11-year-old girl who until very recently was at Amani, and who we would like to share a quick video of, in which she shares about her life.
Majina naitwa Maria. Nilikuwa nakaa kwa bibi. Mama yangu, baba yangu wote walifariki. Babu yangu na bibi yangu walikuja kunichukua. Nikawa nakaa pale nyumbani. Kaka yangu alinishauri niache shule nikae nyumbani. Rafiki yake na mama mdogo wangu akaniambia kwa nini hakuna dada ambaye yuko nyumbani kwenu ambaye amekaa hasomi shule. Mama mdogo wangu akajibu ndio. Walipokuwa wamekuja na mimi nilikuwa sipendi kwenda kufanya kazi. Nilikuwa napenda nikae shuleni nisome niweze kutimiza ndoto zangu. Nilipoenda nikaa namwosha mtoto, na deki, naosha vyombo, napika na kufua nguo. Nilipokuwa nikishinda kazi, kula chakula mpaka nimalize kazi, alikuwa ananigombeza, ananiambia maneno makali. Kwa kulingana na umri wangu bado nilikuwa mdogo, nilikuwa siwezi kazi. Alipokuwa ananigombeza, nikashikwa hasira, nikaamua nitoroke, nikatorokea mtaani. Nilipotoroka mtaani nilijua kwamba naenda nyumbani, kumbe naenda sehemu ambapo sio sahihi. Nilipokuwa mtaani nilikuwa sina chochote cha kula, nilishinda njaa na hali ilikuwa ngumu. Madhara ya kwenda kufanya kazi katika umri mdogo, kuna kupigwa, kuna kunyanyaswa, kuna kutukanwa. Pia kuna wengine wanaenda mtaani na ndoto zao zinaishia hapo. Na hii yote inatokea kwa kulazimisha kufanya kazi katika umri mdogo.
Thank you so much, Minded. Thank you for sharing this. And that was the video of Maria, as Minded mentioned. This is just an example of all the kinds of cases that we deal with. Just to give you a bit of a background, culturally, at least for the bigger part of, the whole of East Africa, it's most societies are majorly patriarchal. So girls tend to be more oppressed because of cultural norms. So there's a lot of issues that come up because of cultural norms, early marriages, girls dropping out of school because they need to take care of their siblings, being married off early because the parents have no income. So they try to sell their children as brides in exchange for bride price. No, I won't take up much of your time. I'll now introduce Megan. Megan is going to interview Naomi. So Naomi is our coordinator for Arusha and the Safe House, Arusha Centre and the Safe House. So Naomi is on ground and she deals with these cases on a daily. So Megan will have an interactive session with Naomi to uncover more about our work in Arusha and with girls. Karibu, Megan. And Naomi.
Hi, thanks so much, Janet. Good to see everybody. Good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. And Janet, I'm just so struck by the resilience of a lot of these kids. I mean, it's just truly remarkable. So I am really happy to be here. Again, my name is Megan Wood. I'm the Director of Development for Amani North America. So working with our friends of organizations in both the US and Canada. And while I've yet to get to Amani on the ground, I'll be there at the end of this year. So I'm really thrilled about that. And we'll get to meet you, Naomi, in person. So let's get you introduced. Just tell me a little bit about yourself. And how long you've been at Amani and what your role is.
Thanks, Megan. My name is Naomi Kimaro. I'm the coordinator here in Arusha. So far, I've been working with Amani for 7 years, and I was working with Amani as a family worker for some months, and then I've been moved to Arusha. And since now I have 2 years promoted being a Arusha coordinator. So in Arusha, we have a safe house as mandate tells us.
That's great. And so, I know most of us are probably familiar with the operations in Moshi. Tell us a bit more about Arusha, how it's different, what the operations are like, and what your kind of specific role is there.
Okay, so the difference comes when we started operating the safe house since 2019. So the safe house mostly receiving children girls who are receiving abuse, and especially child marriage, sexual abuse, trafficking children in country and across countries, physical abuse, and child labor. That's make the big difference from Arusha, Amani, Moshi, and Singida.
Wow. I imagine that it's as equally as heartbreaking as it is inspiring, when you have a child that really succeeds and does well because of Amani. What drives you in this line of work? Kind of what inspires you in this work?
So far, I love children, and I'm trying to make them happy. But the big issue that make me to work with the children is the children need big caring. And when they have been getting support from different people, they are being capable to be the children as other children. So working with these girls who are facing abuse, most of them, they are not able to defend themselves. So by working with them, sometimes I'm normally sharing my experience since I was a child and right now, because I'm not very far from them, because I just passing difficult situation. So I'm normally sharing where I passed it from until I am today. So most of the children, when I'm working with them here, they are facing difficult situation and sometimes they give up. But whenever they come to our safe house, they meet with different social workers, staff that are working with them, counseling, making some stories. That's why they are becoming good girls.
I'm sure they learn a lot from one another too, and sharing their stories as they learn from the staff and your personal stories as well. I know, of course, working with Amani, that there are wonderful, inspiring stories. I also know that there are many difficult, heart-wrenching stories. Are you open to sharing maybe one or two that kind of hit you hard and kind of the reason why it makes this work so important?
Okay. So far, I will share two stories. One story I will share when I was a family worker here in Arusha. There a child called Mwanaisha. It was 13 years old. She was mental challenging. She was living with a grandma who was disabled. So Mwanaisha was making sure that she will make cleaners for the grandma, cooking for the grandma, and supporting the grandma to go to the medical services. But whenever I was going to Mwanaisha to make follow-up to know what is the situation over there, one day she shared with me that she was raped by his uncle. The uncle was living very close to them, the same street, but when Mwanaisha was taking care of the grandma, the uncle went there and raped her. So the uncle told Mwanaisha that don't tell anyone what is happening. So Mwanaisha was keep quiet for a while. She didn't tell anyone, but the second week when I went there for follow-up, she shared with me that my uncle raped me, and then don't tell me, then he told me that don't tell anyone. So when Mwanaisha shared with me, I just contact the chairperson of that environment and share the story. So the chairperson said, we can report it to police. So whenever I went to police to report, I tried to make my plan with Mwanaisha to make follow-up and know if the uncle is still there. So the uncle was still there, and police was trying to arrest that uncle, but he was not succeed. So after seeing all this situation, I went and rescue Mwanaisha to keep it to the safe place while the baby was still there. So the baby was living there, and I went to another relative who was the elder than Mwanaisha to take care of the baby. Unfortunately, the baby after some times died, and then Mwanaisha, when he was the safe place, I tried to find the other relative from the other grandma from mother side. So I succeeded to get the grandma, and she was taking care of her. So while Mwanaisha is still living with the grandma, Amani is still supporting the Mwanaisha by providing scholastic and make follow-up. So far, Mwanaisha is living with the grandma and is continuing well, though we didn't succeed to catch up the uncle.
And so, Naomi, this seems to be commonplace for a lot of the cases that we see, where it's an urgency behind removing the child and getting them to a safe place, with the ultimate goal of returning them to their community in a safe way with family or amongst the community. So I think you put it beautifully, how Amani operates there.
Yes, thank you. So that is the first story when I was a family worker. So far, like a year ago, last year, we just receiving another case. This case is the child called Mesoni. She was married when she was 14 years old, and she stayed with her husband until she was 16. So one day, Mesoni suddenly broke the medicine for the cow. And when the husband realizing that Mesoni has broke the medicine, his husband and the brother started to beating Mesoni, and he just locked the Mesoni on the street nearby their village in the forest for 3 days. So Mesoni was hanged there for 3 days without food, and she was naked. So the Good Samaritan who were passing by, they just saw Mesoni who hanged on the tree. So they just went to report it to the villagers around. So they just come and rescue Mesoni. So it was talking with everyone under that village. And even our president, Mama Samia, knew this, and she just warned that this abuse will never be seen in this situation. So the woman, Mesoni was rescued to our safe house, and the husband was arrested. So the husband was there, and then Mesoni, while he was here in the safe house, he went to the court to testify his case. So at the last, the judgment came out, and then the husband was in prison for 30 years. Wow. So while Mesoni was here at the safe house, she came with no knowing Swahili. So she was only speaking Maasai. So the only thing we were doing with Mesoni here is making the bracelet and trying to learn Swahili. So for the period that she was staying here and the case was over, so we trying to find the vocational training center where she will go there to another organization. So she is still there until she'll stay there for the 2 years from now.
Wow. You know, you say it so lightly. The only thing that we were doing for her was teaching her Swahili and having her make bracelets. But I mean, the reality is, I mean, you saved her life, and now you're changing her future. And there's really no other way to put it. So just incredible. I think as we wrap up with you, Naomi, and this has been, so interesting chatting with you. I know that there are questions. So if you do have questions, put them in the chat and we'll try to get to them. Naomi will stick around. Just tell us, and one more story that you're just immensely proud of, maybe one of the young ladies that is really succeeding and thriving.
So apart from these two stories, which are very challenging, I can share one story for the child called Isasha. She the salonist. Zasha was rescued from commercial sex work activities. But before Zasha engaged to those commercial activities, her mother was engaging to that commercial activities. So when her mother was engaged in those commercial activities, Zasha, when it was completed the primary education, she was still fall where the mother was working. So suddenly Zasha got pregnant and have one child. So she was taking her child to the mother while she was continuing engaging in commercial sex work. So she was continuing until she was rescued by Amani. So after rescued by Amani, Zasha was told that she choose any vocational that she can be study without going to commercial sex work. So Zasha was trying her level best to choose hairdressing. So she went for the hairdressing courses, and then she was completed, and Amani was offering her salon equipment. So when she was starting to own her salon, her mother died. So when her mother died, Zasha was going to the funeral of her mother and come and take his child with her. So far right now, Zasha is taking care of the child and she continues well with the business of hairdressing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really great to hear. Well, thank you so much, Naomi, for your time. It's really remarkable, and I'm sure there'll be questions later on for you about your role. I did too, as we kind of transition to another incredible story in a video form. I did want to just give Janet a kudos, and also Michael, who's on the call. The amount of content and videos and photos that we're able to get and share with you all has just been remarkable. And we'll make sure that these are shared widely as well after this call. You guys have the premieres here on the call. So let's watch this great video of Pascalina.
Mimi bado kabla sijaja hapa Amani nilikuwa ninaajiriwa kufanya kazi za ndani. Nilikuwa nafanya kazi nyingi ila bado mdogo. Nilikuwa nikishinda napigwa afu na nyanyasa. Muda huo nilikuwa sina ndoto yoyote zaidi ya kulala na kuamka kufanya kazi. Kuna siku nilipigwa sana, nikaamua nitoroke. Kwa mtaani nilikuwa nimeokolewa na ticha Amani, nikaleta kituoni. Nilikuwa sijui kusoma na kuandika, ticha Msoka akanifundisha hadi nikajua kuandika na kusoma. Sasa hivi nasoma kwa bidii. Naishi katika ndoto. Sasa hivi na ndoto ya kuwa fundi designer nguo.
Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you so much, Naomi, for that very interactive session and sharing, even though a little heart-wrenching, but also very stories that give us hope, stories that give us life and give us light. We are going to, that was a video of Pascalina. So we are throwing in bits and pieces of videos of girls from Amani sharing their stories about their lives before Amani and their lives after Amani. So Pascalina now is doing well at the center in Moshi. She's one of the pack leaders. So the girls are a very small group, and they have grown so close. Like it's fun to watch them. They have grown so close. They do everything together. You'll ask one girl to go do something, and the whole pack will follow. So Pascalina is one of the leaders. She's like a pack leader. Yeah. So it's good to see that she's now doing much better, and she's learned to read and write. She likes to dance. She likes to play. I will go into the next session. I will invite Minded to talk more about our work with Amani and what the future of our work with Amani is looking like now. Because now you know what's on ground, you know what we have done before, and now I invite Minded to say something about the future of Amani and our work with girls. Minded, karibu.
I think all of us realize, and if you listen to this and if you see those videos, that a lot of these situations are horrendous. Still, I hope these videos and those smiling faces, like Pascalina, and the story of Sasha also show that with Amani's support, we can turn their lives around. Yes, they have gone through tremendous hardships, and probably a lot of that will stay with them for life. But at least because of Amani, they're building positive futures again. And when Sasha is now running her hairdressing salon, I think I can also promise that Amani will do everything we can to make sure that Pascalina will become that dressmaker and clothes designer that she's dreaming of. So yes, I think we can all be proud of how Amani over the past years has really stepped up in helping these girls. And I would like to share two trends and new developments that give a glimpse on the future. One is, as you have heard and seen, the work with the girls who are rescued from abuse, especially through the Safe House, has been immensely powerful, and the place has been chock full almost all the time. We have space for 22 girls and some younger boys as well in the Safe House. They stay there for anywhere between 2 and 4 months before we help them go to the next stage in life. And that place is full all the time, children coming in, children moving out. So that work has really grown over the last couple of years. While, and many of you may not know this, maybe even including some of our closest friends, it seems that Amani has done such a powerful job with street children in Moshi, in Arusha, and in Singida, the 3 places that we work in, that the number of street children has actually come down quite a bit. So I think what we will see in the years to come is that our work that is already shifting more towards also helping children rescued from abuse, especially girls, that trend will continue. 12.5 years ago, when I joined Amani, 99% of all our children were children who were living and working on the streets. And then we rescued them and helped them into positive futures. If you look at last year, half of the children that we rescued, about 170 children that we rescued last year, were rescued from severe abuse, and the other 170 were rescued from the street. So over the last couple of years, it went from almost entirely street to now 50-50 street rescues and abuse rescues. So looking ahead, I think that trend will probably continue, and we will work with at least half of our population, our children, coming from those kind of realities. The other thing that I would like to say related to the future, and I'm going to try and share my screen for that briefly. This video that I showed shows 2 girls, as you saw, Irene and Lisa. And it relates to a new program that we are starting. And that program is about girls who at a very young age already get engaged in commercial sex work, as Sasha that Naomi shared about. And it's in the intersection of street and abuse. Because what we have noticed is that in our work, now that we are working more with girls, we see more and more girls ages 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, who already start using their bodies to make money. And Irene and Lisa, the ones that you just saw, they grew up living on the street where they were born because they're single mom, living on the streets full time. And if we wouldn't have rescued Irene and Lisa in time, then by now, those two very cute girls that you saw just now would already have been engaged in sex works themselves. So over the past couple of years, we've done bits and pieces with that group of girls, young teenage girls who are selling their bodies. And we've been successful occasionally, like in the case of Sasha. But one of the things that we realized is that if we really want to make an impact here and really be able to rescue those girls and help them into positive futures, we need a dedicated program for it. So that's what we've decided to do. From July, we will run a 3-year pilot program to help young teenage girls from those sex work realities. And again, get them happy and healthy again and on track to a positive future. We've just hired our new program lead, senior social worker, for this new project that's about to start. And her name is Suma, with a difficult last name, Mwakalindile. Suma Mwakalindile. Suma, I would love it if you could briefly unmute yourself, put your video on, and maybe just say a couple of words to our Amani friends.
Hi, my name is Suma Mwakalindile. I'm the new senior social work on sex worker program in Amani Centre, Arusha. Thank you.
Thank you, Suma. Nice for people to see you already. I know you're very busy with your first orientation, just started like a week ago. And we really look forward to using your expertise that you got in other organizations to help these girls. And I think we all should be proud that we are working with these girls. We are working with them despite all the hardships that they've gone through. We're showing the courage to continue working with the most difficult cases. And we're now also showing the courage to work with girls who come from sex work realities, which is not going to be easy, I'm sure. One thing which is important for everyone to know is that because Amani's core mission used to be street children, that is still where most of our money comes from. And when it comes to the Safe House and when it comes to this new pilot project, so far we have no dedicated funding for it, or at least only very limited dedicated funding for it. So it's a continuous sort of month-to-month struggle to make sure that we have enough funds to run that program well. Before I hand it back over to Janet again, I do hope that this campaign that we are running this month and maybe running into the first weeks of July will help to raise the money that we are hoping for. I hope that people will step up, that people will share about it with friends, with family, with others. If you know anyone who might be interested to supporting this, please let me know. But yeah, the future, continuing to work with children rescued from severe abuse, but also now starting this pilot project for girls who are selling their bodies at a way too young age. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Minded, for that, the detailed work that we're doing and our plans for Amani. And I saw in the chat box that someone was really excited to see Lisa and Irene. These are people that have been to Amani. Thank you, Janet, for joining this call, and Akila. They were of so much help. They got so attached to the girls. They've been to Tanzania twice because they came the first time and they were really excited about Amani, so they came for another time. I hope to see them again, maybe this year or next year. So now we're going into our Q&A session. I saw some questions in the chat box. I don't know if anyone else has more questions. Catherine was asking if these videos can be shared after the meeting. Yes, they'll be shared with you after the meeting. And she also has another question for Naomi.
Yes, I was listening to Naomi talking about the situations that they're dealing with and thinking, my goodness, these are really difficult situations. It must be really emotionally draining for the staff being faced with some of these things and shocking at times, presumably. I'm just wondering how the staff cope and what support is there available for staff to debrief and just manage their own emotional reactions to things so they don't get burnt out.
That's a really good question. Minded, would you like to take this one?
Well, maybe Naomi, if you could share a little bit. So the question is, so if you are working in the safe house and you're working with all these children rescued from abuse, some of them are really emotional cases. And it does something with you as worker, as staff. So what do you do, being the coordinator in Arusha, to make sure that staff can manage even with their own feelings?
Thank you, Minded. Thanks for the question. So far, as we are dealing with the difficult cases, sometimes staff are facing hard to handle. So we have the government hospital called the Mount Meru. There is a psychologist there. So whenever the staff who will meet with the situation that is very hard, most of the time we just consult the psychologist.
Great, thank you, Naomi. I also have to say, Kathy, and of course, I can only share from my 12, 13 years of experience, but somehow within the Tanzanian culture, people are used to pretty extreme hardships. Yeah, so I know Naomi lost her parents at a very young age. Death and hardship are around a lot. So people are generally very strong in handling all that and are not easily sort of burned out, way less so and way not that easy as some people in the West might be. But yeah, I think that's what we could say to that question.
Yeah, I understand that sort of, so what you're saying, there's some inbuilt resilience, but yeah, I just wonder if it's something to think about is ongoing support, I suppose.
Thank you, Naomi, and thank you, Minded. The next question is from Wilma. How many girls will be involved in this new pilot project?
So to quickly answer that, it's a pilot project, and it is probably one of the most difficult groups of children to help and rescue because of two reasons. One of them being that they have all sorts of people around them who are keen for them to stay in that type of work. Two is also that even at that young age, 14, 15 years of age, part of these girls hate what they are doing, but part of these girls are pretty happy with that lifestyle, with just making money in that way, with the attention they get. So it's not going to be easy, and it is something that we have only limited experience in so far. So our plan is to try and rescue about 35 girls in the next 3 years. So probably something like 7, 8, or 9 in the first year, maybe around 12 in the second year, and then maybe around 15 in year 3. But more importantly, we want to use those years to continuously reflect on what is working, what is not working, what is working, what is not working, so that 3 years from now, we have a program that is pretty powerful and successful.
Thanks, Minded. Another question came through from Akila. What will it take for the pilot to become a permanent pillar for Amani?
Great question, Akila. So basically 2 things. One is we need to be reasonably successful. Like I said, that's going to be hard work, lots of reflections, lots of deep workshops on our methodologies, our successes, our failures, as well as continuous learning from other projects that work with similar populations. So one is we need to be reasonably successful. Are we going to rescue 100% of these girls? No. But I do hope that if we work with, let's say, 40 girls over the course of a year, that about 1/3 of them gets rescued every year. So that's one. The other thing, obviously, is to make sure that we get dedicated funding for it to continue moving it beyond the first 3 years.
Thank you so much, Minded. I think this brings us to the end of our Q&A session. I don't see any more questions coming through. But if you have any questions, feel free to email us on info@amanikids.org, and we'll be happy to answer as soon as possible. Thank you so much. And we'll move to the next session where Megan is going to share another brief video for a girl called Lemmy.
Hapo zamani mimi nilipokuwa nyumbani nilikuwa na tabia ya udokozi. Siku moja nilimwibia mamangu hela nyingi. Nikakimbilia mtaani, nilipokimbilia mtaani niliendelea na ile tabia yangu ya wizi. Nikaendelea, siku moja nikaenda kuiba. Nikashikwa na mapolisi, nikapelekwa polisi. Polisi walivyoona mimi bado mdogo, walinipeleka Amani. Mpaka sasa hivi nimekaa Amani, nimeacha tabia yangu ya wizi. Nasoma, ticha Msoka ananifundisha vitu ambavyo nilikuwa sivijui. Sasa hivi nimeacha tabia ya wizi. Sasa hivi niko Amani, nategemea kuja kwenda nyumbani niweze kuona wazazi wangu, pia niweze kusoma kwa bidii ili niweze kutimiza ndoto zangu.
Thank you so much, Megan, for that video. For the next part of this session, I would like to tell you more about, we have a program. It is called the Amani Ambassador Program. So it's a 9-day program that invites short-term volunteers to Amani from all over the world, even within Tanzania. From the people that have been through this Amani Ambassador Program, they'll tell you it's very fulfilling, and you get to see Amani in its full operation. You get to know every beat and every corner of Amani and the work we do. You get to know the children. So I'm going to invite some of the ambassadors that have been around and those also present to say something. I'll begin with Hudson. Hudson is our newest one. He's 17 years old from the US. He's been around for a week so far, I think. A week, yes. So he's going to tell us more about his experience in Tanzania. Karibu, Hudson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hudson. I'm from New York City, and I've been here for roughly a week, and I fly out tomorrow. And I had a very stressful week with school and all of my examinations heading into the college application process the week before, about 2 weeks before coming. And I thought that was going to be one of the most important weeks of my life. And then I came here, and the stuff that I've done in my week here puts everything into a greater perspective. And everything previously feels extremely insignificant. Being on the ground and playing with the children, teaching English, teaching some Spanish, and just everything. Being able to purchase them some new soccer balls and teaching them how to throw an American football, and even playing some basketball with them on like the little basketball hoops that they have here that I think are being like prepared and fixed up by the next Amani Ambassador Program that's coming after I leave. It's so rewarding and fulfilling, and I think there's nothing better than like giving back. And these kids, they deserve it more than anyone. They have every privilege that we have. They don't have, and seriously in my life there hasn't been a more rewarding experience than being in Arusha with Naomi the other day, and being able to walk around the slums and talk to those people, and being able to just purchase rice and food for all of the children and the families, being able to purchase sugar and charcoal and other items for a family of 6 that lived in a 12 square foot house with the walls caked with mud and towels kind of blocking out the neighbors. It was just an extremely rewarding experience, and there's no one that deserves it more than these people that are struggling on a day-to-day basis. And even with not just like charity work, with all of the struggle that these people go through, and Arusha and Moshi, they still want to work, and they're still completely ambitious and ready to kind of make their money and get, help themselves. And I think that's also extremely important. One of the main things was helping set up business and buying corn, maize as it's called here in Tanzania, for this to start up a business and help this woman who has 5 children with no support at all, and it's just her and her children living together, helping her start a business. I think that is one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. So I'm completely thankful to Amani for letting me come here and work here for a week. And I know I'm only supposed to speak for a couple minutes because there's other people that have to share their story, but yeah, I'm just completely thankful for everything that I've been able to do here, and and it's also everyone is extremely welcoming here, even though I'm someone that most people here probably have never seen anyone that looks like me before in their lives. Everyone waves and says hello or hi, and tries to speak a few words of English to me, when really I'm the person that should be learning all the Swahili while I'm here. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for all of your time.
Thank you so much, Hudson, for sharing. The kids, the little boys have been drawn to Hudson. There's this one kid that made so much effort to speak English so he can communicate with Hudson, and it was just amazing. He followed him everywhere. I would like to invite our special female recent guests to Amani, Akila and Janet. Now, these two are friends. It makes it special because they have come to Tanzania, and they've come not just once, they've come twice. So they spared their Christmas season and came to Amani and volunteered. They raised some money. They did a lot of work. They gave the girls such a good time. I'd like for them to share their experience with us. Akila, maybe you can go first, and then Janet will go after you.
Sure. Hi, Jeanette. And hi, Janet, and Naomi, and Sama, and all my Rafikis, all my friends. So I'm a woman of few words, so it's kind of hard to capture such a overwhelming and amazing experience in just a couple of minutes. But I made a couple of notes just to ensure that I touched on a couple of key things in my time there, both last year and this year. I want to say, like, the love that these girls and boys that they have, and they want to show you through their smiles and their hugs. I think about our Swahili and English one-on-one class, and Jeanette teaching tag-along. I know she's going to probably talk about that too. Whether it's playing basketball, football, cards. I saw a lot of cards in the videos that kind of took me back as well. Sidewalk chalk play, jumping rope. Like, we did so many things with them, and they just couldn't be more happy just to spend time, and we were as well. One thing that really stands out is just how incredibly strong. I know we use the word resilient, and it's heartbreaking to think that these kids have to be so resilient at this age, but the strength that they have, and the talent, and just the beauty inside and out, that will forever stay with me. And I think that that's one thing, if you think of a aha moment or something that stood out, it's really how that experience has stayed with me. And I hope that the kids will continue to flourish. And I know that's a big part of what you guys are doing at Amani. So keep up the great work, and just I look forward to the updates. And I just think you guys are just doing such incredible work.
Thank you so much, Akila. We hope to see you again soon. Akila was quite the sports lady, so she was always playing with the kids, and they gave the girls like a makeover this one evening, and the girls were so excited. Janet, karibu to say something about your experience in Tanzania.
Asante sana. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Akila. Hi, Selma. Hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Yes, I echo exactly what Akila said. When we first joined Amani 2 years ago, I didn't know what to expect, but boy, it was life-changing when we left. That I had to do it again, and Akila joined me as well. So it's amazing what these kids can give. I mean, it makes your first world problems just so insignificant and irrelevant. I mean, the love that they give, like I said, we bonded with them, even just getting smiles from them. I mean, despite of what they've gone through in their lives, in their short time on earth, and they've gone through so much more than we could ever, I'm gonna start crying. But they're resilient, they're happy, they're loved, they're taken care of. And thank you to Amani and for the program that they've offered. I mean, it's without them, without Amani, these kids will continue to live in the lifestyle that they're unfortunately don't really have a choice, right? So to be a part of this and to be able to speak, be a voice for the kids and be a support for the kids as well as Amani has been an amazing experience. I personally built a bond with them on my first year, but the second year when they called your name and saw you and smiled and hugged you and came out like, you're back, like that was a moment. That was a moment that I'll never forget, and I'll always cherish it forever. I told you I'm gonna start crying because they're so special. They're so special. And to the staff of the Amani, again, without your hard work, sacrifice even. I mean, Salma and Naomi, you guys are giving up your entire day to be with us and kind of sacrificing your family and spending time with your family. So I hope, you continue to get the support that you need to really help these kids, make their dreams come true. I mean, there's, like I said, Akila said, I can speak so much more. And some of these kids' dreams, I mean, to be pilots and doctors and nurses, and that, they need the means to be able to do that. So I hope and pray that this program will continue to flourish and be stronger for support of the Amani Kids. So please send them my love, my best. Irene, and every time I see their videos on Instagram, puts a smile on my face because I know them personally and I love them all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience at Amani, Janet. And special credit to Salma for everything she does when the ambassadors are in town, and Naomi for the sacrifices that they make to enable this program move on swiftly. And in the spirit of what the messages that they have shared, minded that I will invite him to say something about his wall of hope and what he's asking for you to do. It will only take 3 minutes of your time to get this done. Karibu, Minded.
Thank you. So yeah, wall of hope. I think I've heard the word a couple of times already today in what was shared by Hudson, by the others, but also it's what drives us. Yeah, we want to give these children hope. So one of the things that we hope to do is to share with some of these girls and also with some of our Amani staff, some of the wishes that you have for them. And if you could use the chat again to just type out what you wish for some of these girls, for some of the Amani staff who are continuing to do an amazing job with all these children. Just type it into the chat. It will pop up, I hope, on this screen, and we will save it, print it, and bring it to them, both children and staff. So Megan says to keep smiling, and I think that relates also to what you said, Kathy. Yes, the work can be hard, but it is also so incredibly rewarding, because no matter what these kids have gone through, they are smiling again, they are playing again, they are showing their love to each other, to us. So Kathy says safety, security, and happiness. Safety and happiness. I think that's what it's all about. The Safe House is about that. And also the new program that we're trying to run with these girls who are engaged in commercial sex work. It's all about that. Let's see another few. Akila says community for the future. I think that's a beautiful one as well. Keep dreaming, keep playing. And Linda says, use your struggles to make you stronger. And I think that's what Naomi referred to as well. Yes, life may seem incredibly difficult now, But if you can channel all your resilience towards the positive, it will make you an immensely powerful adult. Heather says, keep happy, help each other, and know that nothing is impossible for you, especially with Amani and the support of all you Amani friends. I'll stop this share for now. Thank you for those wishes. I think they're beautiful, beautiful for us and beautiful for these kids. Asante.
Thank you so much, Minded. I like that Minded brings up the whole the meeting together with the softwares and everything. It's just so entertaining because it's always something new with him. Thank you so much. We're coming to a close for the call, and I'd like to invite Megan to give her last remarks.
Thank you to the volunteers and to the staff. I'm inspired every day that I work with Amani and speak to donors and speak to staff and hear the stories. I can tell by the comments and the interaction that you all are too. I know we have an incredible 20 people on this call. There are hundreds others who we know couldn't be here today or the timing didn't work out, but we feel the love from across the world. And so, if you're in a position to give today, we're working toward that $25,000 goal. I know Janet said by the end of the month, but maybe we give ourselves a little more time throughout the summer, but we'll get there. Resiliency, right, is a theme here at Amani, and we'll get there and make sure that these girls have what they need in the long run. Another thing that you all can do is just share about your experiences with Amani. We will make sure you get these videos, share our social media posts, write something to your folks. An email goes a long way, even a text message. Hey, this is a cause that's important to me and here's why. Join me in watching this video and making a donation. It goes so far. So again, I work with North America, but wherever you are in the world, I'm happy to help. So please reach out. I'll put my email in the chat box. And with that, I think we're gonna head into one final video of our friend Diana.
Kwa majina naitwa Diana. Kabla sijaja Amani, nilikuwa na maisha magumu sana. Baba aliondoka na mama akaondoka, na aliniacha nikiwa mdogo sana. Nilikuwa naishi kwa kuomba. Bahati nzuri kuna bibi mmoja akanichukua. Nilikuwa naishi kwake nalala, lakini swala la shule sikupelekwa. Lakini pia nilikuwa na tabia zangu za udokozi zilimchosha yule bibi akaamua kunifukuza. Yule bibi akanitelekezea mtaani. Nikaja nikaokolewa na Amani hadi sasa niko kituoni. Tangu nimeleta hapa Amani, maendeleo yangu yanakuwa mazuri. Kwani nakula, nalala, nacheza na pia imenipeleka shule. Kwani hapo zamani nilikuwa sina matumaini ya kusoma. Nilivyoleta Amani, ninasoma na nina ndoto ya kuwa daktari. Na pia Amani imenitafutia familia. Nikimaliza darasa 7 naenda kuungana naye. Naishukuru sana Amani na wafadhili wote waliosaidia kubadilisha maisha yangu.
Thank you so much, Megan, for that video. We've come to a close of for the meeting, and maybe to close, Minded is going to ask us to do something right before we close. But before then, we'd like to show a small message from the children of Amani. They just want to say something to you for being here today and for everything you've done for them before. Much, Megan. Karibu to Minded to close this meeting.
Yep, with one more of my little tools. Just quickly, if you can type into the chat box how you feel about today. this session, whether you found it boring, whether you found it interesting, whether you found it special. Just in one or two words, if you can just pop it in so that we have an idea of how you felt. Maybe it was too long, too short, not enough videos. Karibu to share. Great to see the videos. Keep it a little bit short for this word cloud, but I can read out. Interesting to hear about the new program, informative and encouraging, powerful and interesting, a huge impact, great participation, encouraged to see all the work that's going on in Amani. And a question, are we allowed to put the videos on the website? Some of them yes, some of them no, because some of these videos are very sensitive and we just use them for this event with a limited group of people and don't put them up into the cloud, basically. But we'll be able to help you with that. Okay, I think that's it for now on some of your feedback for today. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.